Hi, this is Shilpa here. Today I'll start with the case of a little child again. But through the case, we'll try and understand drug remedies and the theme of drug remedies in detail. So, this is a 3-year-old girl who comes to me with chronic constipation. And this constipation has been since she was a little child, little baby. So mom has introduced diet changes, lots of fluids, fiber. She's been using laxatives and stool softeners occasionally for the child. Um, and she's now worried about overusing these laxatives. So she's trying over-the-counter homeopathic combinations, which haven't really helped. And at that point, she wants to see a homeopath, and that's how she comes to me. Now, there was very little history I actually could get just based on the local symptoms. Just the fact that the child always had very hard stools, and the child mentioned it's very painful, and the mother says it's possible that she's scared of going to stools, and passing motions. And at this point, I thought she's had lots of homeopathics anyway and tried all those local remedies. Let's take the case at stage 3 and understand this patient as a person. So I observed that the child immediately picked up some of the crayons that were lying on the table and started drawing with them directly, which was quite unusual because normally kids prefer to open a book and there's a ready-made drawing there and they start coloring it. But she was drawing directly, quite a nice pattern using just those colors. And the mom says she loves to paint. She paints with the brush directly since she could ever hold the brush in her hands, and she draws what she imagines. She doesn't really color things, and she's quite neat and enjoys the red. She loves painting with the red color, and she enjoys dancing and music, and she's quite a lively and energetic child, as I observed. Now the mom says she's quite confident, and you could see that she wasn't shy at all, and she could talk and express quite well. And mom says she knows how to carry herself, and it's something which hasn't really been taught. It's quite inborn, but she's quite sensitive to noises, to weird faces she sees on TV, and there was no other past history I could get. And at this point, I thought we'll go into the pregnancy history because the first thing was the complaints were since she was a baby, and the mom was a painter. So I thought, let's look at what's happening here. Now the mom says, the first thing she says was the baby was not planned. It was very sudden, and my husband was shocked, and we were not really looking to have a child, but we were quite happy. It was like a shocking surprise for us, but there you go. I'm pregnant, and let's go with it. So that was how it all started. And she said, I wanted to paint. I was so emotional for the first few months, and I could actually feel the movement of the child from the very, very start. So she said, I thought I would have a slowdown in my career, but I was so creative. I had lots of new ideas coming up, and I wanted to work and paint and could not sit idle. I was reading a lot of books on painting and philosophy, and I really enjoyed that time of my pregnancy. Now she said, it was right from the start, I felt there was something moving in my belly. It was like a feeling that you and your husband has created something new and a new life has started, and it was very strong. And she said, I could feel every hormonal change happening within me. And I was like, these thoughts were coming up as if I'm not what I am, and there's something within which is happening within me, and somebody's directing it all. And the experience was really very strong in the 9th month, and she made a big painting with that experience. So it was a real intense time for her. Now that was when I looked into mum and her history, and I thought, let's go back even before that, because mum painted right from childhood. So it was a profession by choice, and not because it was really more than just a profession for her. So she said, I graduated from the art school, but I actually have been painting right since I was a child. And she said, I'm very religious. And she sat in the Gurudwara, which is the Sikh temple, for hours reading a lot of spiritual things during pregnancy. So I said, talk about painting, because basic painting was something more than just a job for her. And she said, I paint about relationships. There were lots of deaths in my family, and I know how much important it is to be happy in life, and I like to be happy and give happiness to others through my painting. And then she mentioned that her younger brother died when they were kids, and it was very shocking. And she said, for 3 years, I could not believe he was gone. It was a weird feeling. It was a fact, but I didn't believe it. I did not cry, but I had lots of thoughts. Thoughts of what it is after death. What am I? So this whole thing about, creation, the life, the birth, the cycle. And she says, I'm quite different from other people because I think very differently. I can't hurt anyone, and I paint on those spiritual themes. My physical existence is to make others happy. And then she mentioned some dreams, and they were quite strong, clairvoyant dreams. Especially, she says, when I received news about death the night before, I dreamed something white, or people in white coffins, or in white clothes and white coffin, and the next day I get the news. So there was this strong sensitivity to death. And then I realized, let's look for the child's rubrics. So I took this ailments from pleasant surprise, which was like right at the start of conception in the mother. And then I saw this creativity coming up in the child from the mother, obviously. But I took this strong symptom the mother had during pregnancy, which was these lots of ideas coming up, lots of new ideas, and this creative thing, and painting. I couldn't find a big rubric about painting, so I took creativity as a broader one. Constipation, difficult stools, hard stools, and pain during stools. These were quite common symptoms, but I just wanted to make sure that I have this local symptom covered up as well. And the remedy which came up strongly was quite surprising. It was Coffea. And what I found was the state of the mother was very similar, because there was an emotional ailment from shock in the mother as a child, and the way she coped was by attempting to find answers about life and death through her spirituality. It was this whole shocking episode in her life, and she didn't react with weeping and or terror or fright. It was about, I want to know what's happening here. And so she had all these ideas coming up, and this need to learn more about reading books on philosophy and painting. So the way she was expressing all these inner feelings was through paintings and helping people become happy. In Coffea, I found this interesting rubric, dreams of death of near ones, of friends, which does not abate his mental exhilaration and looking at everything with supernatural indifference. In LNTF, you find unusual activity of mind and body and vivid flow of ideas. In Herring, brain feels clear and active and feels strong enough to do anything. Now at stage 4, when you're looking into the sensation of Coffea, you look into the family Coffea belongs to, and that's the Rubiaceae family. And the whole theme about this family is stimulation. So they have lots of ideas, lots of imaginations, lots of fancies, but they're more creative. It's about mental, intellectual stimulation. And the way Coffea escapes from reality is by stimulating thoughts and ideas and desires and fancies. So that is the state of Coffea. It's about stimulating themselves and having new ideas. So Coffea cruda was given in a 200 potency, and this helped the child resolve the chronic constipation which was since birth. And not just the constipation, because the child followed regularly for 2 years. And in that time, every episode of sickness or fever was controlled by Coffea. So I was quite amazed that it could have that sort of a deeper effect on the child. But now if we look into the theme of drug remedies, the theme's quite evident here. It's about having this shocking episode in life and the reaction to that, and the way somebody's coping with that is about having these creative ideas and being able to paint and expressing them through that stimulation. And that's the way Coffea actually expresses it. If I compare it with some other remedies, say like for example opium, they would have same ailments from shock. So I had a case of a little boy who had pyrexia of unknown origin, and this started since the shock of his grandfather's death. And the way this child coped was quite different to the way Coffea coped. This child numbed himself. So basically what happened was the child had this sort of absent-minded sort of an episode where he was absolutely dull and he didn't react and he was not aware of his surroundings. It was like he was isolating or numbing himself from this absolute painful situation around him. Another remedy which comes to mind is pipermate. Pipermate also finds the reality too painful. But the main thing about pipermate is it's too boring. It's painfully boring. So if you realize the child in the last block and the father, reality was too boring and restrictive for the father. So the way he coped was through these amusing and exciting things in life. So he had a job where he was traveling all across the globe, and he had lots of fun with science fiction and watching such movies. And that's the way pipermate actually copes with. It's about finding amusement and entertaining himself and really being excited about things in life, because life is monotonous and boring. So that's the way different drug remedies actually cope with. And if you know the difference between each remedy through the rubrics, then that's the key to finding the right remedy for the patient. Now, I hope this helps you understand the theme and the way you can actually use it in practice. I love to hear about what are your experiences of using drug remedies in homeopathy, and I would really like to have your experiences as well. Thank you so much.